The fact is, now a conditional approval has been given to the first vaccine. We were speaking to Dr. Ganga Khedkar earlier. There are a fair amount of conditions to this vaccine in particular. When do you think, sir, that we'd be able to see the rollout which we've been planning for in India?
I am not in an extremely large hurry to get results. I want the expert panel and the DCGI to study the results very carefully. I want every phase 3 study which they have pooled the data together from all over to be studied carefully. It is better to be a little late than to be rushing into something and then you realize that there is something which is derogatory. But I expect that since the expert panel has granted emergency approval on a conditional basis, in the next 2 to 3 days, we should see some light at the end of this tunnel. Any which way, the country is very well geared up because they are having dry runs starting from tomorrow. We are well aware that our facilities currently are not overawed by COVID. We are lucky we don't have a second wave like Europe, so our healthcare workers are relatively free to indulge in administration, organization, injection, vaccination, etc. But I am, having said that, don't want to rush anybody to take a decision just because the new year is here. Don't forget, we always had a vaccine, which we still have and which we continue to have, and that is called social vaccine. So with the social vaccine, you can coast along until you get the injectable vaccine.
So, Dr. Thacker, you're of the point of view that maybe we've given the green light a little bit too soon, or we should have waited? Is that what you're saying?
No. They have given the green light correctly. From what I understand, I don't know what this 9-hour meeting is going to or whether it's over. My news was that they have given an approval and they have handed it over to the DCGI to study everything and then give the final verdict. Whenever they give the final verdict, tonight or after 3 days, our regulatory authorities are very responsible and they will not be coerced or pushed by any other force except the force of medicine and science. Just because UK has done it, we are not going to jump into it. I am confident that they have the heart of the Indian at their best mind and disposal.
Well, that meeting is still going on, Doctor, and the deliberation is over Covaxin this time around. So that's what we're getting to know where the meeting is concerned. But you've raised credible points there because there was a fair amount of criticism that India was facing on possibly being a little late in deliberation and a little late in rolling out its own vaccine plan. But Dr. Talukar, I'll come to you, sir. You know, we were speaking about this the other day as well. By when do you think now, if you have, you know, the green light, a conditional green light, a go-ahead for Covishield, by when do you think, because there are so many questions right now that are filtering in, an average Joe in India, somebody like, say, you and I who would be able to get this vaccine, of course, you'll get it earlier because you're a frontline worker.
Thanks for having me on the show, Preeti, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I think it's a matter of what the process in place is. The first thing to say is I'm very happy that the Indian regulators have cleared the vaccine very quickly. That's because they possibly have looked at the data and we have plenty of evidence of both safety and efficacy. And the real now challenge is to deliver this vaccine as soon as possible to as many people as possible. Now here we got the approval for the AstraZeneca vaccine on the 30th of December and we're starting vaccinating on the 4th of January. But that's because I think there's been a lot of preparation in terms of the doses are all ready to go out and roll out. I know that the Serum Institute in India has been preparing for a while now. They've really got their production and their sort of processing plants all ready. So I don't think there should be too much of a delay in starting the vaccination once the final approval is given by the final regulatory board. So if the vaccination starts within a couple of weeks from now, let's assume that the vaccines are actually being delivered and administered, then it depends on how fast the process goes from there. And there are so many stakeholders, the states, the hospitals, the healthcare staff, how much of people can you actually get into this process?